All right, let's talk about artificial intelligence. But today, we're going to challenge pretty much everything you think you know about it. We're diving deep into the documentary Humans in the Loop to expose the truth that's hiding just behind the code. And honestly, it might just change the way you look at AI forever. So, when I say AI, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it, self-driving cars expertly weaving through traffic, or maybe super smart robots writing symphonies? For most of us, we picture this pure autonomous machine, a brain in a box that thinks all by itself. But what if that's only half the picture? Or, and this is the big question, what if that's not the real story at all? And right there, that's the heart of the issue. On one hand, you've got the myth of AI, this powerful, unbiased, almost magical force. But the reality? Well, it's a lot more human. It's totally dependent on people, it's riddled with our biases, and it's all built on the shoulders of a massive, pretty much invisible global workforce. So let's pull back the curtain on this so-called ghost in the machine. We're going to meet the real people, this invisible army that's actually powering the AI you and I use every single day. So forget the idea of self-sufficient robots. We are talking about a gigantic human infrastructure. The key concept we need to wrap our heads around is this idea of humans in the loop. And listen, this isn't some temporary training phase that'll go away once the machines get smart enough. No. The documentary makes it crystal clear. Human judgment is a permanent, essential, and nonstop part of how these AI systems actually work. So what are all these people actually doing? Well, they're performing millions upon millions of what are called microtasks. This can be anything from painstakingly labeling photos so a self-driving car knows a stop sign from a pedestrian, to the incredibly draining work of moderating horrible, traumatic content. They're teaching algorithms the subtle little quirks of human language that a machine just can't figure out on its own. This is the real engine of AI. Now, when you rely this much on human input, you run into a huge, and I mean huge, and totally unavoidable problem: bias in AI. It's not some accidental bug they can just patch out later. It's a fundamental feature. It is literally baked into the system from the very beginning because, well, we're the ones who baked it in. Here's a look at how it happens. First, you just start with the world as it is, with all of our existing social inequalities and hierarchies. Second, the humans who are labeling all that data, often without even realizing it, they encode those very same biases into what the AI is learning. And finally, and this is the scary part, the AI doesn't just learn these biases, it amplifies them, applying them at a massive global scale. This quote from the documentary just nails it. AI isn't some neutral thing floating outside of society. It's a mirror. It reflects our own flaws right back at us, and then it blows them up to a global scale for everyone to see. Which, of course, brings us to the really big questions. Who's making money from all this? And who holds the power? It's best to think of it like an AI global assembly line, a system that, by its very design, creates very clear winners and very clear losers. And believe me, this hierarchy is no accident. At the very top, you've got the engineers, right? They're celebrated for innovation, they get all the prestige, all the big salaries. And then, way down at the bottom, you have the data annotators scattered all over the world. They're absolutely essential work. It's deliberately hidden, it's obscured, and it's brushed off as low-skilled. And what happens because of that hierarchy? Well, the vast majority of the money and the recognition, we're talking something like 85% of the value, it all gets funneled into these corporate centers. Meanwhile, the global workforce that's doing all the actual heavy lifting, they're left with a tiny fraction, stuck in precarious jobs. The system isn't broken. It's designed to work exactly this way. Okay, so why should we care about all of this? Why is it so critical to see what's going on behind the scenes? Well, because making this invisible work visible isn't just about learning an interesting fact. It's a political act. And here's why that is so powerful. The entire economic model of the AI industry is built on the idea that this labor stays invisible. So, as the documentary argues, the moment you make it visible, the moment you acknowledge the actual people doing the work, you're actively challenging the very foundations of a system that needs them to stay in the shadows. This is the fundamental shift in how we need to see things. The documentary is pushing us to stop telling a story about machines and innovation and start seeing the human reality. That means seeing the workers and seeing the potential for exploitation that's built right into the system. It totally reframes what AI actually is. So, all of this leaves us with a totally new definition. AI is not just a technology, it's a system of power.
It's a direct extension of our own work, our own thinking, and it's deeply tangled up in the very real, very unequal power structures of our world.
Which leaves us with one final and really crucial question. If AI isn't some alien intelligence that just showed up one day, but it's something that we are all actively building click by click, then what kind of world are we actually choosing to create with it?